Me and Ellie were one of those couples that looked good on Instagram and felt cooked in real life. The kind where every time your phone buzzed, you felt like you'd been caught doing something wrong. She wanted updates like I was on house arrest. "Who's that? Why didn't you answer? Send me a pic so I know you're actually at the gym." At first it was kinda hot and a clingy, bedroom gets spicy after a fight way. Then it just got exhausting. My sex life felt like a performance review. After one too many "why did you like her pic?" arguments, I broke it off one afternoon, sitting in my Uda, sweating through my high vis. She cried quietly. No screaming. Just that intense stare she did, like she was filing everything away. "I get it," she said. "You need space." Reckon that was that. 2 weeks later, I'm at my local in the inner west, headphones in, chalk on my hands, mid-set on bench, when I clock a familiar face in the mirrors. Ellie, on a yoga mat, in my gym. The same gym she used to call that sweaty meat market. "Didn't pick you for a deadlift girl," I joked when I walked past, trying to keep it normal. She smiled too wide. "Just trying something new," she said. "Self-care, yeah?" I shrugged it off. Sydney's big but not that big. Maybe she just joined. Maybe we could be adults about it. Except she wasn't really working out. She'd wander around like a ghost. Adjust a machine, sit on it for 30 seconds, scroll on her phone. Stand near the squat rack stretching while I did sets, eyes flicking up every time I re-racked the bar. Walk on the treadmill at 1 km/h, no incline, staring at my reflection in the glass. And she always arrived within a couple minutes of me. Different days, different times, same thing. I'd swipe in, skin beep, and she'd swan through the door like the universe just loved awkward reunions. The boys joked about it in the locker room. "Bro, your ex is still obsessed with your glutes. Reckon she's just here for the thirst traps, not the training." The staff noticed too. Mark, the manager, asked her once if she needed a program, because she never actually did anything. She just laughed and said, "I'm listening to my body," in that fake Zen voice. Couple of times she made jokes when we crossed paths. "If you ever cheat on me, I'm slashing your tires," she said once, laughing. "Kidding. Sort of." I laughed it off. You never think they mean it. One Wednesday night, around 10, the gym was quiet. Triple J murmuring through the speakers, fluorescent lights buzzing, just me and a few other night rats. I was in that tunnel vision state, bar loaded for deadlifts, chalk everywhere, headphones blasting. Mid-set, I feel a tap on my shoulder. Nearly dropped the bar on my toes. I turn. It's Mark, and he's not in his usual chill. "How many sets left, mate?" mood. His face is tight. "Hey, sorry to interrupt," he says low. "You drive the white Hilux, yeah?" My stomach drops. "Yeah. Why?" "Come to the office a sec." "Mate, if someone's just reversed into it, tell me straight," I say, wiping my hands. I can't afford more drama, hey. He doesn't laugh. That's when I start to get rattled. The office is this little glass box overlooking the floor, full of protein tubs and lost property. Mark shuts the door, points at the CCTV monitor. "Just watch," he says. On the screen, the car park, grainy but clear enough. My Hilux is parked under the light. And there, kneeling behind my rear tire, hood up, mask on, is a figure I'd know anywhere. Even pixelated. Ellie. At first, I think maybe she's dropped her keys. Then she lifts her hand, and the security light catches metal. Not a little tool. A kitchen knife. One of those long ones you use to cut roast. She presses the blade gently against the tire like she's testing a lover's skin. Mark actually narrates it like a commentator, because he's nervous. Alright, she's lining up, that's the side wall, and yeah, that's a proper stab. On screen, she raises her arm and drives the knife in. The tire visibly sags. She pulls it out, puts her hand on the rubber, almost like she's petting it. Then she moves to the next one. Slow. Deliberate. No rush. Like she's rehearsed. My whole body goes cold. "What the?" "I already called the cops," Mark says quickly. Soon as I saw the knife. They're around the corner. As we're watching, headlights without sirens roll into frame. 2 police cars. They kill the lights, moving quiet. On another camera, we see them slip down the alley between the gym and the bottle-o, boxing her in. She glances up, sees something, tries to bolt. Wrong move. That alley's a dead end. Within seconds, they've got her pinned against the wall, knife kicked away. She's not screaming. She's smiling. Little, satisfied smile, like she's just finished a workout she's proud of. When they bring her past the front doors, I stay in the office, suddenly very aware I'm just in a sweaty tank and short shorts. She looks through the glass like she can see me. Later, One of the officers comes in to take a statement. He's got the knife in an evidence bag and a clear zip bag with more stuff. In her pocket, he says. Spare knife, gloves, wipes. She came prepared. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. What did she say? I ask. He flips through his notebook. That she's tired of watching you move on. That she wanted to slow you down. That you forced her to do this because you never listened. Kept using words like boundaries and closure. But, mate, most people don't bring a knife when they want closure. Mark, who's been hovering in the doorway like a dad, shakes his head. She's been staring at you more than the dumbbells for weeks, he mutters. I knew something was off. Didn't think that. When I finally step outside to see my Uda, it looks like it's bleeding out. All 4 tires, slashed deep, rubber shredded. There are scratch marks near the door handle, like she tried to jimmy it open too. The air smells like hot rubber and bin juice. And all I can think is, if Mark hadn't checked the cameras, I would have finished my set, showered, walked out into an empty car park at midnight, and found this alone. No cops. No witnesses. Just me, my ex's love language carved into my tires. People keep saying, at least she didn't hurt you. But once someone brings a knife to the place you go to clear your head, it's hard not to feel cut open anyway. I changed gyms. Changed my routine. Changed where I park. But sometimes mid-set, sweat dripping, music up, I'll catch my reflection in the mirror and think about how close I came to walking out and meeting her in that dark car park, blade still in her hand, thinking she was just setting boundaries. I've still got all the audios, you know. The first ones even sound funny now, like I'm just gossiping about some prank instead of whatever the hell it turned into. If you play the very first voice note I sent to Bia, you can hear me laughing over the traffic. Bro, you will not believe. Some idiot just sent me a picture of my bunda from behind on WhatsApp. I'm walking up my street, headphones in, minding my business, and ding, new number, no name, just my own back. My hair, my backpack, my little pigeon legs. I swear I nearly died laughing. Which one of you clowns is doing candid shots of me, hein? You can hear the bus whiz past, moto taxis revving, someone yelling pastel, pastel in the background. Totally normal Villa Madalena chaos. I was convinced it was one of our friends being stupid, trying to start some new meme. Nobody confessed in the group, obviously. Everyone just replied with crying laughing emojis and WTF send it here. I blocked the number after I sent them the screenshot. Problem solved, no? 2 days later, new number. Another photo. This one is me crossing the main avenida near the bus stop, caught mid-step, hood up. You can see the bar on the corner, behind me with the blue graffiti. Time in the corner says it was taken like 3 minutes before it landed in my messages. In the second voice note, I'm not laughing so much. Okay, now it's weird. Bia, look at this. Same type of pic. New number. Who even has time for this? My heart just dropped when I saw the timestamp, bro. Like, I'm not even home yet. Whoever is doing this is close. Like, very close. If it's you, just say it, weirdo. Again, nobody admits anything. They start asking if I saw anyone around. I didn't. I swear, if you'd asked me right then, I would have bet money I was alone on that street. That's the part that gets me. How wrong you can be about alone. I blocked that number too. After that, I started walking home a little faster. Turned my music down. I told myself, calma, it's just a prank, some bored teenager, one of the boys from the bar. Sao Paulo is full of Malaquinho with phones, right? The third picture killed the joke completely. I'd just gotten home from work, climbed the hill, keys already in my hand. Later, when I opened WhatsApp, I saw the message at the top of my chat list. Unknown number, 1 image. It's me in front of my own building, unlocking the front gate. Zoom in, and you can see the shine of the keys, the chipped nail polish on my thumb, the little Virgin Mary sticker the neighbor stuck next to the buzzer. The angle is closer this time, across the street, maybe even from inside a car. The voice note I sent then is quiet. You can hear me breathing hard. Bia, this is not funny anymore. Look, this is literally my door. Someone is sending pictures of me to my phone, like I'm in a horror movie. I swear I nearly threw up when I saw this. I didn't see anyone. Not a soul. How? Explain to me. She told me to go to the police. I said, they won't do anything, they're going to call me dramatic. Classic. Instead, I started closing my curtains for the first time in my life. Started watching my reflection in the shop windows as I walked. And then came the last one. It's late, middle of the week. I'm walking down that long wall on the quieter side street. You know, the one full of graffiti, the lamppost that flickers like a bad horror film, the dog that always barks from the second-floor balcony. My bus had been delayed. The WhatsApp group for our line is full of complaints. I've got my phone in my hand, checking if the driver finally answered. My screen lights up with a notification from an unknown number. Just an image. No text. When I open it, it feels like the air goes out of my lungs. It's me right there, on that exact street, passing that exact wall. Same clothes, same bag. The angle is low, like someone is crouching near the ground. The timestamp says it was taken maybe 30 seconds ago. I don't even send a voice note this time. I text Bia, someone just sent me a photo from right now. Then I spin around so fast my hood almost flies off. Nobody. Empty street. Flickering lamp, closed doors, tags on the wall. If someone is there, they're better at hiding than roaches. My heart is beating in my throat. My legs are jelly. I don't walk, I run, full sprint, to the only place with lights still on, the little Merceria on the corner. I slam into the door, almost knock over the guarana display. The guy at the counter looks at me like I'm drunk. I duck behind the fridges, crouch next to the beer crates, dial 190 with shaking fingers. Someone is following me, I whisper. They're sending me photos of myself while I'm walking. I'm on Rua Tal at the market. Please. Please. They tell me to stay inside, lock the door, wait. I hang up and stare at the entrance like it's going to grow teeth. The fluorescent light buzzes. The TV in the corner keeps playing the football commentary like nothing is happening. When the siren finally screams past, it doesn't stop out front. It cuts off behind the building. Later, I found out there's a little alley, a kind of tiny courtyard with bins that wraps around the back. The officers go there first. From inside, I hear shouting echoing. Policia! No chow! Agora! Something metal clatters. The shop guy peeks over his counter. I take 2 steps toward the door, even though my legs are saying absolutely not. They bring her around to the front. My ex. Camila. Hoodie, dark jeans, hair tied back. She looks almost exactly the same as when we used to sit on my couch eating pão de queijo and watching novellas. Except now she's got a telephoto lens in her hand, one of those long, serious ones you see on wildlife documentaries. Behind her, one officer carries a backpack open at the top. Inside, I can see the edges of printed photos, hundreds of them, stacked and curled. A few slip out and float to the ground. Me at the bus stop, me buying pão, me laughing with Bia, me on days I don't even remember going out. Camila sees me, and her whole face lights up. Amor, she says, like we're just bumping into each other at the bakery. Thank God, I was so worried. I've been checking on you. You walked too late. I had to keep the routine. You know I can't sleep if I don't see you get home. The officer beside her looks at me. She says she's just checking, he says, in that tired cop voice. She's been out here for over a month taking pictures of you. Says it's so you don't feel alone. Bro, my heart just dropped right there on the tile. Now, every time my phone buzzes with an unknown number, I feel that same ice in my stomach. Every alley looks like it might be hiding a lens. And when someone calls me Amor too quickly, I think of her crouched behind the bins, aiming at me like I'm something to track, not someone who ever loved her back. You know when you tell a story and everyone says, Abi, you watch too much Netflix. Yeah, that was me until it wasn't. We're at this Mayhane right now, actually, Riki sweating on the table, smoke in the air, and I'm telling you, Valahai, I thought I was going crazy. So I live in this gated complex in Istanbul, underground auto park, automatic gate, the whole we are secure bro vibe. You swipe your little fob, gate goes up, you drive in Güzel. For a while, I keep noticing this silver car slipping in right behind me. First night, I think Tamam, neighbor being lazy. Second night, same thing. Third night again. Same distance, same timing. I'm like, Yanni, what, they live on my bumper or what? One night I decide to test it. I swipe the fob, gate starts rising, but instead of going all the way and I stop just past the line and check the rear view. Silver car cruises up smooth, stops under the gate. The driver sticks their hand out the window and flashes a fob. Same kind as mine. Doesn't even use it, just holds it there like a flex. My stomach drops. Only one person ever had my keys long enough to copy anything. My ex, Elif. Months back, she borrowed them to get something from my boot while I showered. 15 minutes with a key in Istanbul is an eternity. Next day I tell the site Yontim my fob is stolen. They nod, say we'll reprogram soon, which means maybe this year. I buy a steering lock, start parking in different spots, random levels, trying to confuse whoever's playing games with my life. A week later, around 2 a.m., I wake up to this metal scraping sound from below, faint but wrong. Not traffic, not the elevator. The kind of sound that makes your skin tighten. I step onto my balcony, cold tiles under my feet, called a prayer just a whisper in the distance. Down in the auto park, under that sick neon light, I see a figure crouched behind my car. Cats weaving around her feet like she's part of the furniture. She's got something small and black in her hand, fiddling with the underside of my bumper. I zoom with my phone. It's a tracker. Tiny GPS thing, magnetic back. I feel my heart in my throat. I call the police, whispering like she can hear me through concrete. They come quiet, no siren, just lights. They slip in through the side door, boots echoing. I watch from above while they move between the pillars, torches off like some low-budget action film. One cop shouts, she jerks up, tries to run, but there's nowhere to go. They grab her. It's a leaf, of course. Hoodie, leggings, gloves on. In her bag they find duct tape, wipes, and another tracker. Backup, ABI. She planned it. She sees me on the balcony, and actually looks offended. We're basically ale, she says later, like that explains everything. I just want to know you're safe. In this city, anything can happen. Why you acting like I'm a stranger? Because strangers don't copy your fob, sneak into your garage for weeks, and tag your car like you're some delivery order they're tracking. Now, every time the gate opens, I check the mirror. Every echo in that auto park sounds like her footsteps. And every time someone says, relax, Istanbul is safe here, I just laugh and take another sip. I thought the first note was just Japanese over-politeness turned up to 11. Tucked under my wiper in the apartment block's parking lot, folded in half, edges perfectly aligned. Hope you got home safe. You look tired. Please rest. Black ink, neat handwriting. No name. I smiled a little. Tokyo can be lonely. A kind stranger noticing me felt harmless. I'd just broken up with Adam, my overly intense foreign boyfriend, who always wanted to know where I was, who I was texting, what time I'd be home. It was messy, lots of tears, and you don't appreciate me speeches. After that, a random nice note felt almost cute. Second note came 2 days later. Saw you driving earlier. You looked stressed. Daijubu? Saw me driving? My chest pinched for a second, then relaxed. Maybe a neighbor. Maybe someone in the building who shared the same commute. Third one. Slow today. Long day. Please be careful, the side street is so dangerous to yo. That's when it felt wrong. I only cut through that side street when I missed the light, and I'm running late. I never post my routes. My Insta is locked. My stories are just coffee, cat, occasional thirst-trappy mirror pic for my close friends. Adam was blocked on everything. I started changing things. Different route to work. Different time. Parked on level 3 instead of level 1. Walked around the long way. Still, the notes kept appearing, always perfectly centered under my wiper, never wrinkled from the rain. You shouldn't walk through the side street alone. Hope the pasta was good tonight. Your shift ended late today. Drive safe. The pasta one made my stomach drop. I hadn't posted it. I hadn't texted anyone. Just boiled some noodles in my tiny kitchen, steam fogging the single window, ate in front of Netflix half-dressed and brain-dead. He shouldn't know. No one should. I went to the Koban with a small stack of notes in a clear file. The officer listened, very polite, nodding. He read each one carefully. Certainly this is concerning, he said. But there is no explicit threat. We can make a record. If he appears, please call 110 immediately. I went home feeling stupid and still watched. 3 days later, there was a knock on my door at 7 a.m. 2 officers, hats in their hands, bowing slightly in the corridor that always smells like somebody's curry. Suma Mason, are you my name? San? We need to speak with you about Adam San. For a second I thought he'd been hurt. Then I saw the stiffness in their shoulders. He has been arrested, one said. Not for you. For entering the storage area of his neighbor, near the electrical room. When we entered his room, we found something related to you. It is better you hear it from us. His apartment was 1 floor below mine, same layout, just reversed. I'd been there 100 times. It had always felt a bit too neat, everything lined up like a magazine photo. Now, with the door open and officers moving in and out, it felt like a stage set. One wall in the living room was completely covered. Photos of me, printed on cheap A4, trimmed carefully. Me unlocking my bicycle at the station. Me coming out of the convenience store, condensation on the glass behind me. Me laughing with a friend outside a cafe in Shibuya. Me with my mother at the supermarket when she visited from Osaka. Me in my work clothes, in my leggings, in that slightly spicy dress I only wore at night. Between the photos, printed screenshots of my private Instagram stories. The green close friends, rings still visible in the corner. My bowl of pasta. My late shift again kill me selfie. My shot of the empty office at 10 p.m. Lines and arrows connected everything, drawn with a ruler. Red arrows for morning, blue for evening. Little notes in the same neat handwriting as the car messages. Parked on level 2 today. Stayed longer at shop. With someone? Smiled at phone. Who? Tired. Not sleeping enough. He has been studying your movements, the officer said softly. For months, we think. In the corner, a fresh stack of blank paper waited, clipped square. A ruler, a black pen, a roll of tape. Ready for more. He hadn't just watched me. He'd organized me, cataloged me, turned my life into a project he could pin to a wall. Friday night in Joburg. Me and Mia had gone to this little spot near a mall in Randburg. Nothing fancy, just wings, loud amapiano, her laughing at my terrible jokes. We weren't even that serious yet. Just easy vibes, a lot of flirting, some very decent kissing in the car before and after dates. In the background, somewhere in the digital shadows, there was my ex. Lorado had been quiet since the breakup. Too quiet, in hindsight. We didn't end in flames, we ended in exhaustion. She always wanted full access. Where I was, who I was with, why that girl liked my photo. Every weekend turned into court. The bedroom chemistry was fire, I won't lie, but the rest was like living with a prosecutor. When I finally ended it, she did that scary calm thing. It's fine, she said. You're just scared of real love. You'll come back when these little distractions are done. I blocked her. Everywhere. Thought I was done. Then the burner started. At first it was small. A random account with no profile picture, liking all my old photos in a row. Then another watching my stories the second I posted. I'd block one, 3 more would appear. Sometimes they'd accidentally double-tap Mia's pictures too. The ones of her in a dress, or at gym, or eating ice cream with that messy mouth that turned me on way too quick. Mia would show me her phone, laughing. Babe, your ex is so down bad, hey. Look at this username. _93. Yo. I shrugged. Eesh, she's just doing Instagram Olympics. She won't actually do anything. I was wrong. That night after dinner, we cut through the back parking lot to get to Mia's car. You know those mall back lots. Half the lights are dead. There's a big metal skip pushed up against a wall, security whistle from far, the smell of bray smoke drifting from some Shisa Nyama hidden behind the buildings. A few cars left, but it's mostly empty. We're still talking nonsense, holding hands. Then Mia stops, so suddenly I almost walk into her. A babe. Her little hatchback is sagging. Like it's tired. All 4 tires are flat, sitting at weird angles, rubber practically kissing the tar. At first I think, shame, someone stole the rims or something. Then I see the cuts. Not little punctures. Deep, clean slashes along the sidewalls, like someone took their time. Okay, that's not just kids messing around. I say, trying to keep my voice chill. Stay by the front, nay? Don't touch anything. She's breathing fast. Is this like random? Or? I already know. The knowledge hits my stomach before my brain finishes the sentence. The cuts are too deliberate, too personal. It's like seeing someone scratch your name into a wall. I call the cops, give them the address. While I'm on the phone, I'm scanning the lot. There's nothing much. A few parked cars, a flickering streetlight, the big metal skip at the back overflowing with rubbish. Then I see it. The tiniest movement behind the skip. Not a full body, just a shift. Like someone adjusting their weight. My skin goes cold. I tell the operator there might still be someone here, hang up, and turn to Mia. Come stand by me, yeah, I say. If anyone comes, get back inside the restaurant. She looks at me. Do you think? I think my past is being stupid, I say. But just in case, don't be a hero. The cops arrive pretty quick, considering it's Joburg on a Friday. No sirens, just flashing lights. 2 officers get out, one checking the tires, whistling low. Show, this is intentional, he says. All 4. Same blade. She was committed. How you know it's a she? I ask automatically, then regret it. He gives me a look. We ran the plate you gave us on the phone, he says. Your ex has a file, hey. Neighbors have been complaining about a car sitting for hours outside your road, your new girl's road, so let's see. Another officer shines his torch across the lot. The beam slides over the skip, keeps going, then comes back. You can see mud on the ground, footprints leading from the entrance, around the side of the skip. "Anyone behind there, come out now," he calls. "Hands where we can see." Nothing. They move closer, torches up. When the light hits the gap between the skip and the wall, something flinches, pulling back like a rat. Everything happens fast after that. One cop goes left, one goes right. There's a lot of shouting, some metal banging, as someone tries to scramble over rubbish bags. Then they drag her out, one hand on each arm. Lorato. Her jeans are dirty, knees stained from kneeling. Hoodie pulled up, hair messy. In her right hand, she's still gripping a knife, not some little pocket thing, a proper kitchen knife, the kind you carve meat with. The cop twists it out of her grip and slides it into an evidence bag. My heart is hammering so hard my ears ring. "Lorato, what the hell are you doing?" I blurt out before I can stop myself. She looks at me, and what gets me is she looks pleased. Like she just nailed a presentation. "See? You came," she says. "I knew you'd come if I made it impossible for her to drive you away from me." Mia makes this small sound behind me. I want to put her in my pocket and hide her. The cop holding Lorato's bag opens it up to check for more weapons. Papers flutter out in the night wind. Printed screenshots of my Instagram, Mia's Instagram, my tagged photos. There's a notebook too, the cheap kind from CNA. He flips it open. On one page, my name and Mia's name, circled together. Arrows pointing to dates and locations. Another page, reasons he should have chosen me, with a numbered list. She doesn't even know his mother's real favorite food. She makes him soft, that's dangerous in this city. She doesn't understand his purpose. It goes on and on. My cousin would have said, "Hi, this is witchcraft with stationery." The cop finds a bus ticket tucked inside as a bookmark. It's for a route that goes right past Mia's street. Dated last week. "She been following me?" Mia whispers. "Both of you," the cop says. "She told us she's watched you from the mall, from the garage, from your complex gate. Says she has to honor her feelings. Like that justifies a blade." Lorato keeps talking over everyone. She's switched into that fake calm voice she picked up from TikTok therapists. "You forced me into a corner," she tells me. "I'm setting a boundary. I can't keep watching you disrespect the connection we built with some rebound girl. You don't see it now, love, but I'm protecting us. I just needed to slow you down, give you space to think." "By slashing her tires?" I say, voice shaking. She rolls her eyes. "She drives you home." I take that away. You have to face what you're doing. Simple. I was going to come out when you saw it and talk it out. You overreacted as usual. One of the officers practically groans. "Baba, that's not talk it out. That's malicious damage to property and stalking." They cuff her properly and walk her to the van. She keeps twisting to look back at me, ignoring Mia completely, like she's furniture. As they drive off, the lot feels too big and too empty at the same time. Mia is shivering, arms wrapped around herself. "Are you okay?" I ask. She half laughs, half sobs. "Your ex really slashed my tires because she didn't want me to give you a lift? Yo, your taste is dangerous, my guy." "Ish, I know," I say, because what else can I say? Toronto will have you thinking nothing bad can really happen in a building like yours. The elevator sticks on 5, the hallway's always colder than outside, somebody's always letting Uber Eats in at midnight. It's all background noise. You start believing weirdness is something that happens in movies, not in your drafty little corridor off St. Clair. Me and Tasha didn't even end messy. No screaming, no get your stuff and get out. Just flat. Months of the same argument, her reading into every text and silence, me getting tired of explaining my own face. One night, Raptors on mute in the background, I finally said, "Yo, I can't do this. My chest is tired." She just looked at me, really looked, like she was memorizing every detail. "Okay," she said softly. "I get it." But her eyes said something else. Something like, "Noted." She went quiet after that. Unfollowed, untagged, no drunk paragraphs at 2 a.m. Just gone. I told my friends, for once, I didn't pick a crazy one. Growth. The city hummed along. Streetcars delayed, rent due, life moving. Then I met Ryan at a game night. Chill dude, software engineer, soft laugh. We kept it low-key, no posts, no tags, no couple selfies. I didn't even save his name with a heart. Close friends got the occasional hoodie in the background shot, that's it. There was no universe where Tasha should know he existed. The Saturday it happened, the weather was that wet Toronto cold that cuts right through your jacket. Ryan had gone to his gym out west in the morning, and was coming back to mine later. I was in my bonnet, big t-shirt, rice on the stove, half watching some messy reality show. It was just a regular day. Then, 3 knocks at the door. Not the annoying neighbor, not somebody's auntie raising funds for church. Just standard, confident knocks. I checked the peephole. Delivery guy, high-vis jacket, cap low, disposable mask on, small parcel in hand. Normal. Hey! I called, keeping the chain on. Delivery, he mumbled. The mask ate half the words, but I heard my unit number. Looked legit enough. I cracked the door. Cold air rushed in, smelling like wet pavement and cigarettes from the stairwell. He held up the box so I could see the label. Brown cardboard, some barcode, whatever. I started to slide the chain off, then my phone buzzed in my pocket. Ryan, yo, I'm downstairs. Forgot my fob again. Buzz me in. Hold on a sec, I told the driver, closing the door most of the way, chain still on. I hit the buzzer, told Ryan, doors open. You're bringing snacks as tax. When I opened my door again, the whole vibe had shifted. The driver wasn't standing casual anymore. He was right up on the door, foot wedged against the frame like he'd been trying to push it while I was at the buzzer. The second the chain dropped, he slammed his shoulder into it. The door crashed into me. I stumbled back hard, socks sliding on the laminate. Yo! I started, but his cap jerked up, the mask slipped down, and my brain did that slow horror movie zoom. Tasha. She stepped inside like she owned the place, breathing hard, still clutching the box. You have to listen to me, she said, too loud. I know everything now. My heart dropped, then shot straight into my throat. Nah, fam, I said automatically, backing up. You can't be in here. What are you doing? You think I wouldn't find out? She snapped. You think I'm stupid? You really thought you could hide him? The engineer from the West End? The one who posts his gym check-ins like a clown. I froze. I never posted Ryan. But he posted himself. Location tags, mirror selfies, leg day captions. Normal for him. Intel for someone determined. You followed him, I said slowly. He's easier to track than you, she said, almost proud. LinkedIn meetup, his bus route, his little coffee shop where he leaves his laptop alone. He walks you home on Tuesdays. Thursdays, he drives. I know his schedule better than he does. Behind her, the stairwell door opened. I heard Ryan's voice drifting up mid-conversation. My whole body went cold. Babe, you buzz me ya, he called. Tasha's eyes flicked toward the sound. She shifted, blocking me against the wall by the coats, one hand slamming next to my head. You brought him into our building, she hissed. Into our space. Before I could answer, another sound layered over Ryan's footsteps. Boots fast, more than one pair. Toronto police, someone shouted from the stairwell. Stay where you are. Tasha went still, then looked at me like I'd betrayed her. You called them? I didn't call anyone, I said. What did you do? Ryan appeared at the end of the hall, hoodie, gym bag, confusion twisting into fear on his face. 2 officers were right behind him, hands hovering near their belts. Ma'am, step away from her, one officer said, voice controlled. She doesn't need you, Tasha snapped at him, jabbing a finger toward me. To me, she said. He doesn't know you like I do. He doesn't know you count the ceiling cracks when you can't sleep. He doesn't know your real laugh. I know everything. Back up from my girl, Ryan said, finally finding his voice. She glanced at him like he was a chair in the way. You're temporary. The officers moved in. The box dropped. It was empty, just crumpled paper. Hands, cuffs, rights read in that calm cop tone. She didn't fight, just kept her eyes locked on mine as they turned her toward the stairs. You blocked me, she said. You thought that meant I stopped seeing you. They took her away. The hallway went quiet again except for the humming light and distant elevator groan. I realized the rice was burning. Ryan's hand shook a little on my shoulder. Yo, he said softly. You okay? I laughed once, sharp and wrong. Nah, I said. That was wild. So I'm from Cape Town, southern suburbs side, sharing a tiny 2-bedroom flat with my girlfriend India and our cat, Mango. When we first moved in, it felt like a rom-com. India's that girl at the Joel, loud, funny, switching between Afrikaans and English mid-sentence, making everyone howl with laughter. At Bryce, she'd have my uncles calling her my brew within 10 minutes. Behind closed doors, it was different, moodier. She could go from climbing on top of me, whispering nonsense, to ice-cold silence in like 3 seconds. If I asked what was wrong, she'd sigh and say, AG, you're so sensitive, man. Like my feelings were some annoying stray we picked up. But you tell yourself, AG, relationships are hard, hey. You roll with it. The morning everything broke, it wasn't dramatic at first. Just the smell. It was a Saturday, light coming in all orange through those thin curtains, traffic humming on the M5 in the distance, some oak revving a Golf for no reason. I was half asleep when my nose started twitching. Not cat pee. Not the litter box. Something sweet sour, heavy wrong. I turned over, eyes still crusty, and froze. On my side of the bed, on the fitted sheet I washed like 2 days before, was it. Human. Not a little accident. A full, solid, undeniable log of shit. The kind you don't mistake for anything else. My brain just stopped. There's this weird moment where your mind rejects what your eyes see. I literally blinked like it would disappear. My stomach lurched. Flies were already tapping at the window, drawn by the smell. Mango. I croaked, even though I knew. We don't keep the cat in the bedroom at night. Mango's locked in the lounge, always. Always. My chest went hot and cold at the same time. I sat up slowly, hand over my mouth, trying not to gag. The stink was thick, like it had been waiting. That's when India walked in. She had her hair in that messy bun, my t-shirt on, cup of coffee in her hand like it was any other morning. She saw where I was looking, saw the thing on the bed, and her nose wrinkled. "Show," she said, not missing a beat. "The cat messed here, hey." I stared at her. "The cat what?" She rolled her eyes like I was being dramatic. "Mango man." "Shame, maybe she was scared or she's sick. It happens." "We locked her in the lounge," I said slowly. "The door was closed. You closed it yourself." India's face hardened just a fraction. It was small, but I saw it. Then the performance started. "AG, why are you like this?" she snapped. "Why do you always have to make everything into a fight? There's cack on the bed, and you're interrogating me." I felt like I'd been hit. "I'm not interrogating you. I'm just saying the cat couldn't get in here." "Well, obviously she did." India shot back, putting the coffee down a little too hard. "What? You think I climbed on the bed and... Are you mad? That's disgusting. You're disgusting for even thinking that." I hadn't actually said it out loud yet. The fact that she jumped there so fast made something cold settle in my spine. She didn't come closer. She just stood in the doorway, arms folded, watching me while I stripped the bedding, holding it away from my body, trying not to breathe through my nose. The stain had sunk into the mattress already, a dark, ugly mark. I was scrubbing like a lunatic, bile in my throat, while she sighed and huffed and said, "You're overreacting, man. It's just a mess. Clean it. Don't make drama." The whole time, Mango was asleep on the couch in the lounge, door still closed. After that, reality went bendy. She'd scream in my face, proper red in the neck shouting, then 10 minutes later, when I said, "You can't talk to me like that," she'd blink and go. I didn't scream. "You're imagining things. You seriously need help, my love." She'd knock a glass off the counter in a rage, watch it shatter, then the next day tell people, "Our naughty cat keeps breaking things, hey," with this little laugh. If I corrected her, she'd get offended. "So now I'm lying? You calling me crazy?" I started finding small things wrong. My toothbrush wet when I hadn't used it. My lunch tasting off, like too much salt or something else I couldn't place. The gas stove left just slightly open. That faint hiss you only notice if you're really listening. When I brought it up, she'd tilt her head and say, "Shame, babe, you need to sleep more. You're paranoid. Maybe talk to someone, hey? I worry about you." That's the trick that really got into my bones, the way she'd hurt me and then act like I was the broken one. But that bed, it stayed in my mind. Every time I lay down, even after new sheets, new mattress topper, I'd smell it. I'd see her face in the doorway, completely straight, saying "the cat," while we both knew the cat wasn't there. I started sleeping on the couch, because it's cooler. Started staying longer at work. Started going to friends' places more, finding any excuse not to be in that room with her. The night I tried to end it, she laughed in my face. "You're not serious," she said. "We live together. We have a cat. We share a bed. You can't just decide it's over because you're having a little mental breakdown." "AG, no man." "I'm serious," I said. My hands were shaking. "I can't do this. You need to go." She refused. Flat out. Slept in the bed like nothing was wrong. Even made jokes about "don't worry, I won't poop this time," with this dead laugh that made my skin crawl. It took weeks of small battles. My name on the lease, getting my cousin and his friend to be there when I told her she had to leave, her crying in the hallway, calling me abusive for kicking her out onto the street, even though she had her mom's place in Strand. She'd show up after that on the buzzer at midnight, sobbing, "I just want to talk," like we hadn't already talked it to death. If you ever want to know how cursed your love life is, try watching your ex on a Ring camera like it's a horror movie starring your parents' house. When people ask me what happened, I don't even start with the calls. I start with the footage. 3 hours, 2 minutes, and 17 seconds, front door. The first clip is almost comical if you don't know what comes after. Ethan's standing at my parents' front door in Iztapalapa, hoodie up, hair a mess, holding his phone like a talisman. You can hear the neighborhood soundtrack in the background. A dog losing its mind down the street. Somebody's TV blasting telenovela dialogue. Distant banda on a cheap speaker. He knocks. Not soft. 3 heavy knocks, like he owns the place. "Señora," he calls, voice all shaky. "Señor? Soy Ethan. I just need to know if she's here. My parents are asleep." The little blue Ring timestamp glows in the corner. 3:02. He waits. Checks his phone. Paces in front of the gate, back and forth, like he's rehearsing lines. At one point he looks straight into the camera, eyes big and shiny, and whispers something I can't hear. When the detective pauses there, I feel my stomach twist. That's when he says, "I know you can see me," the officer tells me. He thought maybe you'd get a notification and watch live. "No manches," I mutter. "Que pedo way." 2 hours earlier, I woke up in my tiny Roma Norte apartment to my phone buzzing off the nightstand. 7:30 a.m. sunlight in my face, head pounding. I squinted at the screen. 30 missed calls. Same unknown number. 6 voicemails. I didn't even have to press play to know who it was. Ethan. He'd already pulled this stunt before, using his friends' phones when I blocked him, calling me 30 times in a row like that would turn me on instead of giving me anxiety. We broke up because of that intensity. At first it felt romantic. He always wanted to be with me, wanted to take care of me. Texted good morning, good night, good everything. Then it turned into surveillance. Send a picture so I know you're actually home. Why didn't you pick up? Who were you with? I just worry BB Mexico City is dangerous. Our fights sounded like safety lectures but felt like prison. So that morning, seeing 30 missed calls, I just sighed. Otra vez este cabrón. I said out loud, threw the phone on the bed, and went to make coffee. I figured it was another all-night loratera because I hadn't responded to his last melodramatic text. 5 minutes later, my phone rang again. Different number. This one said desconocido. I almost declined it on reflex, but something in my chest said answer. Hola. Buenos dias, is this my name? A man's voice. Serious. Too serious for a telemarketer. Sí. ¿Quién habla? This is Officer Ramirez with Policía de la Ciudad de Mexico. Are you somewhere you can speak privately? My heart dropped to my toes. What happened? Is it my parents? ¿Qué pasó? Your parents are okay, he said quickly. But we need to ask you about someone named Ethan, last name. I sat down on the floor, back against my bed. Yeah, he's my ex. He has been detained outside your parents' house, the officer said. Around 3 in the morning. I laughed, this weird little sound that didn't belong to me. No, you're confused. Ethan doesn't even know where my parents live. He's been there like twice. There was a small pause, papers rustling. He reconstructed the address, the officer said. From your mother's Facebook, your father's LinkedIn, and some photos you posted last Christmas. He marked it on a map. He says he needed to check on you, because you weren't answering his calls. No manches, I whispered. You're serious. Very serious, señorita. Maybe it's better if you come to the station and see the video. 3 hours, 8 minutes, and 49 seconds, side gate. Next clip, the officer hits play. Ethan has walked down the side of the house now, to the little metal gate that leads to the back patio, where my mom keeps her plants and my dad keeps random junk for later. He tries the latch. It's locked, obviously. He pulls out something from his pocket, metallic glint, and starts fiddling with it. The mic catches the squeak of cheap metal, the rustle of his hoodie. He doesn't look confused. He looks focused. Jaw clenched, eyes narrowed, like he's fixing an engine. Neighbor's dog starts barking louder. A light flicks on in the house across the street. Ethan freezes for a second, turns, looks straight at the Ring camera again. If you're watching, just open the door, he murmurs. I know you came home. I can feel it. I feel anger rise over the fear then. I blocked you, and you went for them, I say under my breath. The detective glances at me. Lo sé, she says quietly. Y es una invasion fia. 3 hours, 12 minutes, and 3 seconds, back door. Next clip, he's in the backyard. He must have hopped the side wall. You can see dirt on his jeans now. He walks straight to the back door like he's done this before in his head 100 times. He tries the handle. Locked. Of course. My dad may forget his own glasses, but he does not forget locks. Ethan sets down his backpack, kneels, presses his forehead briefly against the glass like he's praying. "Let me in, por favor," he whispers. "I just need to see you're okay. I'm responsible for you." Responsible. Like I'm a plant he left in the sun. Lights start popping on in neighboring houses now, little yellow rectangles in the dark. Somewhere, a tamal vendor's speaker crackles to life. Tamales oxaquenos. It's almost dawn. He doesn't run. When the patrol car turns into the street, you can hear it on the audio before you see the lights. He just stands there, shoulders tightening, and waits like he's rehearsed this scene too. They found a bag next to him. Small flashlight, protein bar, a phone charger, and one of my old hoodies I threw out ages ago. Smelled like damp and his cologne. There was also a folded note with my name on it. The officer didn't let me read all of it, but he read the first line aloud. I knew you'd come home eventually. At the station, when they asked him why he did it, he talked like a telenovela hero. I swear this still sounds like something I'd slag a mate about over pints, not something that actually happened to me in my own bleeding building. If you'd told me my ex was going to get arrested crouched over my storage unit at 1 a.m, clutching my old super dry jacket like it was a newborn, I'd have said, "All right, calm down, Netflix." But here we are. Me and her, Aoife, we didn't crash and burn. It was more like a slow leak. Constant rows over nothing. "Who's that?" Every time my phone buzzed. "Where are you?" If I didn't answer within 10 minutes. At the start, it felt like she just really cared. By the end, it felt like I had a probation officer. So I ended it. In my tiny sitting room with the dodgy lamp flickering, deliver bag on the coffee table. I told her I couldn't do the interrogations anymore. She cried quiet, not dramatic. Kept wiping her face with her sleeve and saying, "No, I get it. But her eyes never left my face. Like she was copying down my features for later. Then she was gone. No screaming texts, no turning up at the door. I actually thought, fair play, she's taking it on the chin. The bump-ins started a couple of weeks later. First one was at the little corner shop near my flat. I don't even go there that often. The fella behind the till hates giving change. But I fancied a chicken fillet roll after work, so I wandered down, headphones in, half asleep. Turned the corner into the drinks aisle, and nearly walked straight into her. "Jesus, sorry," I said automatically, then clocked who it was. "Oh, hey." She grinned like we were old school friends. "I'll stop, what are the chances?" she said, that little delighted laugh she did when she wanted something. "You living around here now, yeah?" "Yeah, just up the road," I muttered, feeling that awkward heat in my ears. We chatted for maybe 30 seconds. She asked about work, the new flat. I did the Irish thing and lied. "Yeah, no, everything's grand." Then I got out of there. I told myself it was a coincidence. Dublin's small. Whatever. Then it was the gym. Not the old place we both knew. A new gym I'd joined after the breakup. I hadn't told her I went there, never posted, nothing. One Tuesday, I scan in, nod at the receptionist, turn around, and there she is by the front desk, in leggings and an oversized hoodie, doing a stretch you only ever see people do when they've never stretched in their lives. "Mad," she said, as if I'd summoned her. "Didn't know you came here." She'd always said she hated gyms. "They smell like metal and lads BO," was her exact quote. Now apparently she was a regular. "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. "Just started." I stuck my headphones in before she could say more and went straight for the squat rack. I felt her looking over a few times, but I told myself I was imagining it. Until it kept happening. Week after week, different days, different times, she just appeared. At the bus stop near my estate. In a Tesco clear across town, she had no reason to be in. Once outside the chipper beside my job, standing there with an empty bag like she'd just finished eating, even though there wasn't a chip to be seen. "I swear to God Dublin's tiny," she'd say every time, that same half-laugh. "We're like magnets or something." I didn't want to be an asshole, so I'd say, "Yeah, mad, see you around," and leg it. Even when it started happening nearly every week, I clung to the idea that it was just bad luck and a small city. Then she showed up outside my workplace at lunch. I work in a bland little office block by the canal. She'd never been there, never visited, never picked me up. That day I walked out with a sandwich, and there she was leaning on the wall across the road like she'd been waiting ages, doing that pretend surprised face. "Guan, what are the odds?" she laughed. That's when my stomach dropped. The odds were shite, that's what. There was no way this was random anymore. I started dodging. Changed my gym times. Walked different routes. Asked my mate to drop me home some nights. For a while it worked. No more bump-ins. No Aoife at the bus stop pulling her mad coincidence act. Silence. Too much of it. Behind our flats, we've got these little storage units built into the ground floor. Just glorified cupboards with cheap padlocks where people keep their shite, Christmas decorations, spare tires, boxes their ma would throw out if they saw them. Mine had an old mattress, some jackets I never wore, a stack of runners I promised I'd sell, and random boxes from the move. One night, around 1 a.m, I'm in my room gaming with the sound low. Everyone in the building's quiet, just the odd car on the main road. Then I hear this tiny clink from outside. Metal on metal. Not loud, but it cuts through the silence. Probably someone dragging the bins, I think. I ignore it. Clink. Clink. Same rhythm, like someone fiddling with something. I mute the game and just listen. There's a scrape, like something small dragging across concrete. The hairs on my arms stand up. My bedroom looks out over the back. I creep over, flick the lamp off, and peel the curtain back a fraction. At first, I can't see anything. The security light hasn't come on. Then my eyes adjust, and I spot a shape crouched down near the storage units. Not a fox, not some kid, a person. Bent over my exact door. I go cold. The part of my brain that loves horror films is like, told you. The rest of me is about 12 years old again. I don't shout. I don't bang on the window. I don't go down like some hero. I grab my phone and call the guards with my voice so low I barely recognize it. There's someone in the back messing with the storage, I whisper. I think they're at mine. They've tools or something. The operator takes my address, tells me to stay inside, and keep eyes on if I can. I'm pressed to the glass, heart going like a drum. The figure keeps moving around my lock, shoulders hunching, pausing, trying again. They're not rushing. They're comfortable. 10 minutes crawl by. Then another 5. The shape never leaves. My legs start to shake from standing still. Just as I'm about to convince myself I imagined it, a torch beam sweeps behind the building, washing over the units. 2 guards come into view. One shouts. The shape jerks up, spinning around like they've been slapped with a bucket of water. The light hits their face full on. Aoife, I genuinely thought my knees were going to give way. Seeing your ex crouched at your storage unit at 1 a.m, like some raccoon, is not something you prepare for. From the window, I see her clutching something to her chest, one of my old jackets. The guards are talking to her, hands up, and she's waving her arms, talking too fast. The light bounces off the cheap padlock on my unit, hanging broken on one hinge. One of the guards looks up and spots me. You the fella in 3B? He calls softly. Come down a second, will ya? My hands are shaking so hard I nearly drop my phone. I throw on a hoodie, run down the stairs barefoot. The backyard smells like damp concrete and bins. The broken lock is on the ground. Aoife is standing there between the 2 guards, mascara smudged, my navy jacket in a death grip. You know her, one of them asks. Yeah, I manage. She was my ex. The guard opens my unit. Inside, there's a reusable shopping bag half full of my clothes, t-shirts, that awful checked shirt my ma bought me, a pair of beat-up trainers, even a snapback I'd completely forgotten about. It looks like someone went shopping in my past. You give her permission to take any of this? He asks. No, I say a bit louder. Jesus, no. Aoife turns to me, eyes shiny. I just wanted something that smelled like you, she says, voice shaking. You threw it all in here like it was nothing. I just wanted a bit of you. You know me, Dara. I can't just switch it off. The guard holds up a small pouch they found in her tote. Inside, a couple of little tools, slim bits of metal, and a cheap tension wrench. This isn't a spur of the moment, oh look, a jacket. She came equipped. She's been back here a few nights, he tells me quietly. Neighbors saw someone hanging around the back wall, but we didn't have anything concrete. Looks like she's been watching the building, waiting until it's quiet. That lock wouldn't take long with these. Aoife keeps talking, but it's like she's underwater now. You weren't answering me, she's saying. You're out there with your new life, your new gym, and I'm just what? I just vanish? I needed something real. Something that proves I existed in your life. The guard beside her rolls his eyes ever so slightly. That's not how any of this works, he says. You can't break into people's stuff, cause you miss their smell. They lead her towards the front. She doesn't struggle. She just cranes her neck to keep looking at me, like if she stares hard enough, I'll say it's fine. Like this is romantic, not deranged. When they drive off, the backyard is suddenly too quiet. Me and him didn't even explode. No screaming, no plates thrown, no dramatic storm out. Just me in that tiny kitchen with the extractor fan buzzing, telling him I was done being monitored. Done with the constant, "Where are you? Who's that? Why didn't you answer?" over every missed call. I actually said, "I'm not your parole officer, bruv," and tried to laugh. He didn't. He just leaned on the counter, arms folded, staring like he was taking my picture. When I finished, he nodded once, this weird calm nod like he'd filed something away. Then he left. I moved back into my own place and did stupid little freedom things. Leaving my phone face down. Not replying for hours. Going out with Zara and stumbling home past midnight without sending anyone home now X. It felt petty and glorious. When the first parcel showed up 2 weeks later, I didn't connect it to him at all. Little brown box on the mat, no logo, my address printed in generic online shop font. I buy rubbish constantly, so I opened it with my keys without thinking. Inside was a silver keyring with my initials. That's it. No note, no receipt, no sender. I don't even like keyrings. I took a picture and sent it to the group chat. "Which one of you is sending me prison visit merch?" They all replied, "Lol, and that's creepy sis, not me." We joked about a secret admirer with no budget. I tossed the keyring in the junk drawer with old lighters and takeaway menus and forgot about it. Then more boxes came. A mug with my birth month and a faded constellation. A vanilla candle that smelled like cheap cupcakes. A flimsy scarf. A tiny plush bear with a crooked stitched smile. Always one thing, always no note. Zara told me to relax. If someone wants to stalk you with Poundland, let them, babes. I even posted a story. Mystery man, send rent next time X. People reacted with laughing emojis. I told myself it was silly, not serious. The notebook arrived on a Wednesday and ruined the joke. Same size box, a bit heavier. I opened it in the kitchen, rolling my eyes, already planning what to send to the group chat. Inside was a plain black notebook with a quote stamped on the cover in gold. "You always overthink, but I'll always understand you." My whole body went cold. That sentence wasn't generic Pinterest fluff. That was his line. The one he'd say when I tried to end arguments. When I cried and said I felt crazy, he'd stroke my hair and murmur, "You always overthink, but I'll always understand you," like I should be grateful. Seeing it embossed on a notebook in my hands felt like he'd walked back into the room. I didn't even open it. I carried it straight down to the bin room in my socks, past my confused neighbor, and shoved it deep under black bags. Back upstairs, I double-checked the door twice, blocked his number again even though it already was, and scrubbed any account that looked remotely like him from my socials. I rang my mom and tried to explain. "He's sending me weird presents," I said. "No name. But that quote, that's him." She sighed soft. "Maybe he's just trying to be sweet, love. Boys do silly things. He'll get over it." I said, "It's not sweet," but it sounded small. After the notebook, the parcels stopped. A week. 2. The hallway stayed empty. I decided I'd overreacted. Then one night, lying in bed scrolling, I heard it, a slow, dragging scrape from outside, under my bedroom window. My room looked straight down onto the car park. I told myself it was a fox near the bins, or someone dragging a trolley. I muted my phone. SCRRP. Metal on concrete. Long, deliberate. Stop. Then again. My heart sped up, but my brain went, "Don't be stupid." I refused to look. Eventually it stopped, and I fell asleep feeling ridiculous. The second night, it came back. Same time. Same slow scraping, softer this time, like whoever was doing it had learned where the sound bounced. I sat up, held my breath, listened for voices, footsteps, anything. Just that scrape, then a silence so thick I could hear the fridge humming. In the morning, my car looked normal from the window. I told myself I'd imagined it, that I'd let the notebook get into my head. By the third night, when the first scrape started again, my hand went straight for my phone on its own. 999, "What's your emergency?" the woman said. I think someone keeps messing with the cars in our car park," I whispered. 3 nights now. It's metal, outside my window. I know it sounds dumb, but it's freaking me out." She didn't laugh. She took my address, said there'd been other reports of suspicious activity, near vehicles on our street, and told me officers were nearby. While I was still on the line, the sound got louder. Not somewhere out there, directly under me. Sharp taps now, metal on metal, like someone really working on something hidden. "I think it's my car," I said, voice shaking. Then blue washed over my walls. The whole room lit up with flashing light. Outside, I heard doors slam, heavy boots running, someone shouting, "Stay where you are. Put it down." I dropped the call and forced myself to the window, palms sweating. All the torches were aimed at my car. One officer was half underneath it. Two others were dragging someone out from behind the back bumper, hauling them across the concrete. For a second, the high-vis and shadows made it hard to see, and then the person twisted, looking up instinctively toward my window. It was him. Dust streaked across his hoodie, jeans gray with dirt, hands black with grease. He looked like he'd crawled out of the concrete itself. In his fist was a small black rectangle with a tiny blinking light. Later, in my kitchen, an officer held it up on the end of a pen. "GPS tracker," he said. "Magnetist. You stick it under the car, pair it to your phone, and you can watch where she goes in real time." He picked the spot carefully. This wasn't spur of the moment. Another officer flicked through his notes. "He's probably been coming around a while," he added. "Watching the layout, learning your routine, practicing where to put it so you wouldn't see. It's good you called. People don't lie under cars in the middle of the night for a joke." In the car park, through the glass, I watched them put him in the back of the van. He didn't struggle, didn't cry. He just kept twisting to look up toward my window with this weird, hopeful expression, like he expected me to wave. Like this was still some romantic gesture, not a crime scene. Now, every time I go to my car, I squat down first and run my hand along the underside of the bumper like I'm checking for a bomb. Neighbors probably think I'm mad. Maybe I am a bit. But once you've watched someone you used to kiss dragged out from under your car with a tracker in his hand, paranoid starts to sound like prepared. A scrape in the night stops being foxes or wind. It becomes the echo of someone lying just out of sight, planning the roads you'll take before you've even decided to leave. I keep telling people this didn't start like a horror film. It started like a stupid, annoying question you ask yourself in your own kitchen. Did I leave that like that? If you read it in my notes app, it looks harmless. Entry, Tuesday. Window was a bit open when I got home. Bedroom 1, not the living room. Weird because I never touched that one. It faces the fire escape and the courtyard, and I'm paranoid about pigeons. It was only a tiny gap, like 2 fingers, but still. I stood there for a full minute trying to remember if I'd opened it. I couldn't. Long day, brain fried, whatever. I locked it properly. Told myself I was being dramatic. Little things started moving. Not huge, movie-style things. Just off. A mug I always leave on the right side of the sink was on the left. My worn hoodie that I swear I'd thrown on the chair was folded, badly, on the end of my bed. Bathroom light switch warm, when I hadn't been in there yet. A hairbrush not where I'd dropped it. I told myself what everyone tells themselves. You're tired, relax, you're messy, of course things move around. Work was insane. I was half living off instant noodles and coffee. Easy to blame everything on that. The night I heard the sound at my bedroom door, any relax, left my body. Entry, Friday/technically Saturday, 3:12 a.m. Woke up with my heart already beating like I'd been running. Thought maybe it was just a bad dream. Then I heard it, the faintest little tap near my bedroom door. Not a knock, more like something brushed against it. Once. Then again. The building was quiet, radiator hissing, some drunk laughing far off in the street. I sat up, stared at the door, waited. Nothing. 10 whole minutes of nothing. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. When I got up in the morning, the living room window was unlocked. Closed, but the latch was open. I remember locking it before bed. I always do. One of those little rituals you do without thinking. I told myself, maybe you didn't. Maybe you're turning into your mother with the checking and double checking. But my hands shook when I made coffee. I didn't tell anyone at first. How do you say? I think my flat is slightly wrong. My friends would say I needed sleep. My ex would have said I was overreacting, the way he always did. We'd broken up months before. Nothing spectacular. Too many arguments about where I was, who I was with, why I didn't answer instantly. At first it was kind of flattering. Someone that invested in my day, my bed, my body. Then it felt like being monitored 24/7. One afternoon, I told him I couldn't do it anymore. He cried a bit, didn't scream, didn't punch walls. He just looked at me with this kind of calm confusion, like I'd mixed up the script. "If you need space, okay," he'd said. "Just don't shut me out completely." I thought that was the end of it. Then the spare keys disappeared. Entry, Wednesday. I keep a spare set of keys in the kitchen drawer with all the other rubbish, batteries, takeaway menus, rubber bands. Just in case I lock myself out. I opened the drawer to grab batteries for the remote, and the little key ring wasn't there. Pulled everything out. Checked under the cutlery tray. Emptied the whole drawer onto the counter. Nothing. I never use that spare. I never lend it to anyone. Nobody even knows it exists. I felt this weird cold in my chest, like my body knew something my brain didn't want to say out loud. Did not call anyone. Didn't call the police. Didn't even call friends. My first instinct was to mop up my fear, not spill it. The night everything broke open, it was snowing lightly, making the courtyard outside glow that sick orange from the street lamps. I got home late, ate something bland, scrolled my phone until my eyes hurt, went to bed. I was half asleep when I heard it, soft metal on metal from outside. Not in the hallway. Outside my wall. A slow, careful creak. My bedroom faces the fire escape, one of those old metal ladders that rattles whenever the wind looks at it. It leads straight up to my bedroom window. I turned off my bedside lamp, so fast I nearly broke the switch, and just listened. Another step. You can hear footsteps differently on that ladder. They have this hollow ring, like the building itself is flinching. My whole body went cold. My first stupid thought was, maybe it's the neighbor having a smoke. At 2 a.m, in -5 degrees Celsius, right outside my window. My hands were slick on my phone when I dialed. 112, what is your emergency? I whispered, someone is on my fire escape. At my bedroom window. I live on the 3rd floor. There is no reason for anyone to be there. They told me to go to a room with a lock, stay quiet, stay on the line. I crawled into the kitchen, locked the door, slid down the cabinets to the floor. From there I could see the glow of the bedroom through the crack. The curtains moved just slightly. I heard the window latch being tested. Soft click, then a harder one. Then the unmistakable sound of someone trying again, putting more weight into it. He's trying to open it, I whispered. He's trying to get in. The sirens came fast. You don't hear them right away. They're muffled by walls and your own heartbeat. But suddenly there was blue light flickering over the kitchen tiles and shouts from outside, echoing up the courtyard. Police! Stop! Don't move! There was a scramble on the ladder, metal clanging. Someone swore in Polish, not an officer. Heavy boots thudded up the stairs on the other side of my door. Ma'am, it's the police. You can open now. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped the keys. When I opened the kitchen door, there were uniforms in the hallway, radio chatter, the smell of cold air and cigarette smoke dragged in from outside. We've detained someone on the fire escape, one officer said. We need you to confirm if you know him. I followed them into my bedroom. My window was open now, wide, snowflakes drifting onto the sill. Outside, through the glass, I could see 2 more officers on the platform, handcuffs around a pair of wrists I recognized before I saw the face. My ex. He looked normal. Hoodie jeans, my old scarf. In his pocket, they'd already found the spare keys I'd lost, on a little ring. In the other, gloves and foam earplugs. He says he has permission to be here, one officer said flatly. That he uses your spare key all the time. That he's done this before. The room tilted a little. Before? I croaked. What do you mean before? He claims he's been inside the flat several times while you were sleeping or at work. The officer continued, eyes kind but firm. He says he only ever watched you, never heard anything. He thinks that makes it all right. Suddenly all the tiny, wrong things slotted into place like a horrible puzzle. The almost closed window. The mug. The folded hoodie. The warm light switch. The moved keys. He hadn't been practicing. He'd been visiting. My mind flashed back to months earlier, him asking, "Can I borrow your keys? Need to grab something from your car." I'd handed them over without thinking while I brushed my teeth. He'd been gone maybe 20 minutes. Plenty of time to walk past a locksmith. I looked at him standing there on the fire escape, snow in his hair, eyes searching my face like he expected some intimate, bedroom-level forgiveness. He really thought this was a grand gesture. A messed up, cold, metal-clanging love letter up the side of my building. They led him away, his boots ringing hollow on the stairs. My neighbors' doors were cracked open, eyes peeking through chains. I live alone in a small second-floor flat on the mainland. First time living by myself, no siblings, no roommates, just me and my bad decisions. I'd just come out of a messy breakup with Timmy, clingy, jealous, very talented in bed, absolutely terrible for my peace of mind. We fought over everything. Who I texted, what I wore to work, why I didn't send him a goodnight voice note. Eventually my body was always tense, even when he was being sweet. One day I just snapped. In my parents' driveway of all places. I can't do this check-in parole officer relationship again, I told him. I am not your property. He cried. He didn't shout, didn't break anything, just looked at me like I'd taken his favorite toy. If you need space, okay, he said softly. But don't pretend you don't need me at all. I moved out 2 weeks later. New flat, new lock, new rule. Nobody knows my spare key hiding place. I was ready to be a soft life babe in my little shoebox. Then food started going missing. The first time, it was those small strawberry yogurts. I bought 4. Next day, there were 2. I stood in front of the fridge doing mental maths like an idiot. Did I eat 2? I actually checked the bin for empty containers. Nothing. I told myself, Omo, you probably finished them half asleep while doom scrolling TikTok. It sounds stupid now, but at the time I was more annoyed at my imaginary greedy self than anything. Then it was my leftover jollof. I remember cooking it clearly because I nearly burned the stew and cursed for 10 minutes. I dished a portion, put the rest in a plastic container, shoved it to the back of the fridge for later. 2 days later, I opened the fridge, no container. I'm about to accuse Nipa in my head like they can eat rice, when I see the container, washed, sitting on the drying rack. Clean. I don't wash plates unless I'm out of spoons. I knew I didn't wash that thing. I shook it off again. Maybe you did it half asleep, Madam Independent, I told myself. Living alone plays tricks on you, ABI? Except it kept happening. A full pack of cooked chicken I was saving for meal prep. Gone. Wrapper buried under other trash like someone hid it. My milk. Half empty, even though I'd only made 1 cup of tea. Bread slices disappearing. A chocolate bar wrapper in the bathroom bin, even though I hadn't eaten chocolate in my room for weeks. In group chat, I joked, guys, I think I have a house spirit that likes snacks. They sent memes about village people. I laughed, but there was this tiny cold stone in my stomach that wouldn't move. Then came the night. It was around 3 a.m. hot, stuffy, fan blowing warm air like a useless demon. I was half asleep, phone on my chest. I woke up to this soft sound from the living room. Not loud. Just a little click, click, like a cupboard being opened very carefully. I lay there, eyes wide, telling myself it was the fridge making noise or the building settling. Then I heard it, a footstep. Slow. Deliberate. Not my upstairs neighbor, not the gate outside. Inside. Every hair on my arm stood up. My balcony door. That stupid balcony door I'd left unlocked earlier after airing out the place because PHCN took light and the flat was smelling like fried oil. My brain flashed straight to it. Unlocked, facing the alley, not that high off the ground if someone was determined. I grabbed my phone, slid quietly to the door and locked my bedroom, hands shaking so much I almost dropped the key. I went to the corner of the room, crouched behind the bed like a child in primary school hiding from Cain, and dialed 112. There is someone in my flat, I whispered. I can hear them in the sitting room. I live alone. They told me to stay where I was, keep the door locked, stay on the line. I could hear my own breathing louder than anything. Then more sounds, something scraping on the floor. A cupboard closing. Very soft footsteps moving away from my room. It felt like years before I heard heavy boots on the stairs outside, then male voices, serious, no joking. Police! Open! Police! I unlocked my door with jelly hands. For officers spilling in, torches, radio static, that smell of sweat and outside dust. 1 stayed with me, 3 moved down the corridor toward the living room, guns low. Clear! Kitchen clear! Got someone! There was a scuffle, a shout, something heavy bumping into furniture. My heart was climbing up my throat. When they called me out, my legs didn't want to work. In the living room, everything looked normal at first glance. My couch, my small TV, my messy coffee table. Then I saw my wardrobe door, the one in my bedroom, not even in here, was wide open. They'd brought whoever it was out already. It was Timmy, standing in my living room, hair messy, t-shirt creased, looking like he'd just woken up from a nap. There were handcuffs on his wrists. He didn't look ashamed. He looked offended. Are you okay? One officer asked me. I nodded, eyes glued to him. Is this someone you know? Another asked, although they could clearly see my face had done full Nigerian drama. He's my ex, I managed. The officer by the hallway held up a backpack they'd pulled from my wardrobe. He opened it on the floor. Out spilled empty yogurt cups, the plastic from my chicken pack, my washed jollof container, biscuit wrappers, water bottle. Then he pointed with his torch into my wardrobe. Tucked behind my shoes, a small folded blanket, a pillow from my guest bedding, a little torch. My extra hoodie. He's been staying inside here, the officer said. Not one time. There's too much rubbish for that. He admitted he comes when you're out, sometimes when you're asleep. My skin crawled so badly I wanted to step out of my own body. You've been here? In my wardrobe. I said to Timmy, voice going high. He rolled his eyes like I was being dramatic. Babe, relax, he said. I just wanted to be close. You said you needed space. I gave you space. He gestured at the wardrobe like that made sense. I didn't disturb you. I stayed out of the way. You didn't even know I was here. I watched you game one night. It was cute. Somewhere in the room a radio crackled. The officers looked at each other with that tired, "We've seen everything now" expression. You climbed my balcony? I asked because my brain was stuck on logistics. I still have the compound key, he said, like it was nothing. From before. And the balcony is not that high, nah. You forget I used to jump fence in secondary school. One officer muttered, "Omo," under his breath. They took him away, still mumbling about how he planned to move back in slowly. His eyes stayed on me until the door closed behind them, like I was the one breaking his heart. When they left, my flat felt wrong. Every surface, every shadow. We met the regular messy New York way, friend of a friend, too many drinks, late-night slices. At first, Marcus was that charming, I cook and listen to R&B type dude. He'd be in my kitchen in Queens making pasta shirtless, talking about how he really values emotional intimacy. And yeah, the bedroom was not terrible, but the vibe got weird quick. Anytime I said no to something, he'd get this hurt puppy look. You don't appreciate me, he'd say. You know how many girls would kill for a man who actually cares where she at? I just worry. I'm just looking out for you, Ma. If I wanted a night with my girls. Oh, so now I'm the problem? OD. If I didn't text back fast enough. It's cool, I see where I fall on your priority list. He never yelled, never flipped tables. Just constant guilt trip. Constant little digs. Cute dates and spicy nights sandwiched between emotional manipulation. One Sunday, after a stupid fight about me not posting him on my story, it clicked. I was tired. Like bone-deep tired. Marcus, I can't do this. I told him in my tiny living room, steam from the radiator hissing like backup vocals. I feel like I'm on trial all the time. I can't breathe around you no more. He did the whole quiet cry thing. No yelling. Just tears and long speeches about how girls always leave when they get a good man. And, you're gonna regret this when you end up with some dude who don't even know your middle name. I felt bad, but I still ended it. Blocked him on everything. Told HR I didn't want him coming by the building anymore just in case. Then tried to move on with my life. For about 3 weeks, it worked. Then the tagging started. I'm on the R train, somewhere between Lex and Queens Plaza, when my phone starts blowing up. Service is trash, so all the notifications drop at once. Instagram, Instagram, Instagram. I open the app and there it is, my name tagged in some corny couple meme. 2 people hugging in an airport with a caption like, "The real ones always find their way back." Underneath, he'd written from some random account. "She knows this us" with a little lock emoji. I roll my eyes, block the page. Probably him, but whatever. Next night, 10 tags from a different account. Candlelit dinner pics with captions like "One day" and "Real love is patient." He tags me in the comments like he's having a conversation with me in public. I blocked that account too. He just keeps making new ones. Old couple holding hands on a bench, tag. Quote about loyalty in a disloyal world, tag. Cringy airport proposal video, tag. He never DMs, never texts. Just talks at me through tags, like I'm a TV, and he's yelling from the couch. Some nights I'd have 15, 20 notifications. My friends are like, "Girl, report him." And I do, but you know how the apps are. Takes forever. Meanwhile, my phone looks like a teenage romance novel exploded in my notifications. Work sends a reminder about social media boundaries, email around this time. HR adds a line about, "If you're experiencing harassment online, please reach out." I read it on my break in the nasty fluorescent hallway behind the restaurant, where the walls are that color that used to be white 2 managers ago. I think about saying something, then tell myself he's just being dramatic. Again, the night it flipped from annoying to terrifying was a Tuesday. I got home from a late shift at this midtown spot. Tourists, suits, the whole circus. My feet hurt, my hair smelled like fryer oil. I was ready to shower and pass out. I was literally taking my bra off under my t-shirt when somebody knocked on my apartment door. 3 solid knocks. Not the neighbor's weak little tap. I peek through the peephole expecting my Uber Eats or maybe my cousin. 2 NYPD officers. One male, one female. Both looking serious. My stomach climbed into my chest. I opened the door with the chain still on. Can I help you? Are you my name? The woman asks. Yeah. She glances at her partner, then back at me. Can we speak to you for a moment? It's about someone we have in custody. Marcus, last name. For a second I think he's dead. Then I see the plastic bag in the male officer's hand. It's one of those cheap takeout bags from the spot I always order from after shift. Grease stains, logo smeared. There's a small receipt stapled to the top, with handwriting on it I know way too well. He holds it up so I can read. Eat so you don't forget me. My knees go a little loose. They tell me security at my job tackled him near the staff entrance. Not the front where customers come through, the back. The one only employees use, the one you need a key card or a delivery to get into. He'd waited outside until a delivery driver showed up with boxes, then slid in behind him like he worked there. He said he was bringing you dinner, the officer explains. Said you weren't answering his messages. I blocked him, I hear myself say. On everything. Yeah, she says. He mentioned that. They explain how he pushed towards the hallway, insisting he had permission, that she wants to see me, they won't let me see her. One of my coworkers recognized him from an old pic I'd once shown on a slow shift. My messy ex, pray for me, and hit the panic button. Security took him down before he made it to the kitchen. In his pocket we found this, the male officer says, showing me a folded piece of paper in a plastic sleeve. A note about coming home soon and not making him wait again. He also admitted this wasn't his first time at your workplace. Says he's been there before, just watching the flow. The detective later calls it pre-operational surveillance. I call it creepy as hell. He knew my rota, my usual breaks, what door I went out for smokes on bad days. He'd even picked my favorite cheap spot for the romantic dinner, like we were about to have some sweet little back hallway date between trash cans and food deliveries. At the station, when they took my statement, it went kind of like this. Why didn't you report the tags earlier? Because it felt dramatic, that's why. People get real stalkers. I just had a clown with Canva and Wi-Fi. Did he ever threaten you directly? No. Just those posts. Real love finds a way. I'll always be here. Little stuff that sounds sweet until you realize he means it literally. Between questions, I kept seeing that bag. That stupid greasy bag with his handwriting on it, like when we were good and he'd write dirty little notes on my lunch containers. Back then it was cute. Now it just felt like something rotten disguised as romance. HR sent another email the next day. Big bold subject line, safety protocol update. My name isn't in it, but I know I'm the reason. They remind staff not to let unknown people tailgate into employee areas. They add a line. If you have personal relationships that may impact workplace safety, please inform HR confidentially. I always thought getting hacked meant some stranger in Russia guessing your password, not my ex crouched behind a neighbor's building in Mumbai, chewing on Wi-Fi cables like she was in Mission Impossible. At first, I didn't even clock it as real. It started with my Instagram logging me out while I was posting a gym clip. I was in the rickshaw on Linking Road, bad 4G, app acting up. I cursed Geo, logged back and moved on. Normal. Next morning my manager calls me into his cabin at work. You okay, Yar? He asks, doing that serious concerned face. Yeah. Why? He turns his monitor so I can see our company's official Instagram page. There, in the DMs from my account, 3 long, messy messages about how no one respects real loyalty, and I feel ignored in the office with way too many dots and weird capital letters. It didn't sound like me. It sounded like someone mimicking my voice after 2 bottles of Old Monk. I didn't send this, I say immediately. He shrugs. Maybe someone got into your phone. Just be careful, okay? HR already saw. I spent lunch changing my Instagram password, adding 2-factor, the whole 9 yards. I felt embarrassed but not scared. Apps glitch, people get hacked. Thick hi. Next day, HR forwards me an email. Sent from my address at 4:07 a.m. The subject, I feel watched. I opened it with my heart in my mouth. It was this rambling paragraph about how people pretend to be professional but stare too much, and, I know you're all talking about me. The grammar was off again, like someone typing fast with their thumbs in the dark. HR asks if I need support. I changed everything after that. Gmail, backup emails, Facebook, Twitter, Netflix, all with new passwords, new security questions. I ran antivirus. I checked devices logged in on every app. Nothing looked that crazy. Just Android Mumbai over and over. Then I got the text. Unknown number. You're overreacting, LOL. Just that. 4 words and a LOL. My stomach went cold. Not because of the content, but the phrasing. That exact mix of gaslight and casual. That was Priya. My ex. The same girl who, during our relationship, used to say, "You're being dramatic," every time I said I was uncomfortable. The same girl who had demanded my phone password for transparency. We'd broken up months ago because I was tired of sending hourly updates like I worked in logistics. She blocked me everywhere like she wanted to erase me. Apparently she deleted me from her socials, not from her plans. I blocked the unknown number, of course. Changed my SIM. Swore loudly in the shower about psychos. But that night, my apps went mad again. Password reset emails I didn't request kept coming. I'd log back into something, and 2 hours later, kicked out again. It didn't make sense. I'd done everything right. New passwords, 2-factor, no shady links. I even stopped connecting to random Wi-Fi. 2 days later, I drove past Priya's lane. I won't lie, part of me wanted to just shout at her from the car, settle it face to face. But when I turned onto her street, I saw police lights first. A patrol car and an unmarked one were already there, parked half on the footpath. Instead of going to her building entrance, the officers went down the side gully between her building and the neighbors. That narrow alley where kids lose cricket balls and cats go to scream at 3 a.m. I killed my engine and just watched. One officer shone a torch over the back wall. Another shifted a loose zinc sheet. From where I sat, I could see the corner of the neighbor's external Wi-Fi box. Those ugly white panels cable companies bolt to the wall. Then I heard it. Her voice. Angry, breathless, scared but not sorry. "I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just fixing it. He blocked me. What am I supposed to do? I have to see." They dragged her out a second later. Priya. Hair tied back, t-shirt smeared with black grime, jeans wet at the knees from squatting in the alley. A headlamp on her forehead like some budget spelunker. In one hand, her phone. In the other, a thin black device connected to the neighbor's open Wi-Fi box by a mess of wires. The panel was hanging off, screws on the ground. Inside, colored cables pulled apart like noodles, some of them cut and spliced into her gadget. I got out of my car without even deciding to, just moved like my body was on autopilot. "Sir, stay there," one officer snapped, hand up. Another officer was already reading her rights, trying to get her to stop talking. She wouldn't. When she saw me, she brightened, of all things. "See," she shouted past them. "See, I told you he'd be here. He has to see. He blocked me everywhere. What else was I meant to do?" The senior officer looked at me. "You know her?" I nodded, throat dry. "She's my ex." He sighed like all the puzzle pieces had just clicked. "She's been back here for 3 nights, he said. Neighbor 2 houses down saw her with a torch in her mouth, messing with this box, thought she worked for the company. Tonight they realized something's off, called us." He nudged the little black gadget with his boot. "This is a packet sniffer. She's been intercepting data going through this line, hopping onto networks that connect through this box. Your accounts, your passwords, if you were on this network at any point, she could strip it." I stared at the neighbor's balcony, the one right above the box. They weren't even home. "You hacked me," I said slowly, looking at her. "Through some random Ani's Wi-Fi?" Priya rolled her eyes like I was the unreasonable one. "You blocked me," she said. "You changed everything and pretended I don't exist. I had to know what you were posting, who you were talking to. I didn't read everything, okay? Just enough to understand." The officer snorted. "She says she has a right to your accounts because you shared your life before," he told me. "That's not how rights work, Beta." They cuffed her and walked her to the car. She kept twisting, trying to talk to me, switching between Hindi and English. "You're overreacting," she called. "It's only Wi-Fi. I didn't hurt anyone. Only Wi-Fi. Only weeks of breaking into a stranger's network, sitting in a filthy alley tracing every login I tried to make. Only turning my own devices into snitches." I stood there with my hands in my pockets, feeling the alley's dampness creep into my shoes. The city noise carried on, horns, someone selling chai, a bike revving by. Normal Mumbai chaos, just outside this small slice of insane. People talk about feeling watched like it's dramatic. Trust me once you. It started like most things do nowadays, on an app. I matched with a woman named Sarah on a Tuesday night. Her profile was simple. A few pictures of her at a farmer's market, one with a dog, and a short bio that read, books, bourbon, and brutal honesty. She looked warm, brown eyes, dark hair, a little smirk in every photo like she was always mid-thought, but not quite ready to share it. We exchanged messages for a few days. She was quick-witted, and our conversations had a rhythm that made it easy to keep texting. She asked real questions, not just WID, or what music do you like? She asked about my childhood, about what I feared, about the last time I cried. I remember thinking, either this woman is deeply curious or she's trying to fast-track emotional intimacy. Maybe both. We met for dinner the following Saturday. She picked the place, an old-fashioned Italian spot tucked between a dry cleaner and a vape shop. The kind of place where the bread comes warm and the lighting is low enough to make everyone look a little better. When she walked in, she smiled like we were old friends. She wore a green sweater and jeans, nothing flashy, but she had presence. The kind that makes you sit up straighter. The conversation flowed easily. We talked about our worst dates. Hers involved a guy who brought his mother along. Mine, a woman who quoted Jordan Peterson during dessert. By the time the check came, I felt relaxed, even hopeful. But then something strange happened. As we waited for the waiter to return with the change, a man approached our table. He was tall, maybe mid-30s, with a shaved head and a hoodie that said "No Fear" in peeling letters. He didn't say anything at first. Just stood there, staring at Sarah. I felt the energy shift immediately. Sarah's face went pale. "Hi, Nick," she said, barely above a whisper. "Hey, babe," he said. Didn't know we were seeing other people now. I looked at her, confused. "Is this your—" She stood up quickly. "We're not together," she said. "You need to leave." But Nick didn't move. Instead, he turned to me. "You think she's special?" he asked. "She's not. She's a liar. She'll ruin you." "Okay, man," I said, standing up too. "You need to back off." He laughed once, low and bitter. Then he grabbed a water glass from the table and threw it at me. It missed, but the splash soaked my shirt. Before I could react, the waiter rushed over, followed by the manager. Nick stepped back, hands raised, and said, "I'm leaving. Don't worry. But she's mine. Always will be." Then he walked out. No one chased him. We sat down in silence. I was shaking. Not from fear exactly, more from the adrenaline of being caught in something I didn't understand. "I'm so sorry," Sarah said. "I didn't know he'd be here. I didn't even think he'd still be in town." "Who is he?" I asked. "My ex," she said. "We broke up a year ago. He didn't take it well." "That wasn't not taking it well," I said. "That was stalking." She nodded. "I know. It's been off and on. He shows up sometimes. But I thought he'd finally moved on." I didn't know what to say. She looked so shaken, and I felt bad for her, but I also felt pulled out of the moment. Like the bubble we'd been in had burst, and now everything was under fluorescent light. I drove her home that night. She asked me to walk her to her door. I did. She hugged me before going inside. It was tight, grateful, but I noticed she looked over her shoulder twice before unlocking the door. After that, I wasn't sure what to do. Part of me wanted to give her space. The other part didn't want to vanish and make her feel abandoned. She texted me the next morning. Said she'd had a great time, minus the obvious. That I'd been kind. That she hoped I didn't think less of her. I told her I didn't. I wasn't lying exactly. I just didn't know how to feel. We went out again a week later. This time it was drinks at a jazz bar. She seemed lighter, more herself. She apologized again for Nick, said she'd talked to a lawyer once but didn't want to escalate things. "I don't want to live in fear," she said. "I don't want him to have that power." I admired that. But I also wondered if she was underestimating the situation. Over the next month, we kept seeing each other. She never brought up Nick again, and I didn't ask. I figured maybe he'd gotten the message. Until I found my car vandalized. It was a Friday night. We'd gone out for dinner, and I'd parked on the street near her place. When I came out, the windshield was cracked, and the driver's side door had been scratched deeply. On the paint, in red spray, were 2 words. "She's mine." I stood there, staring at it, not fully processing. Sarah came out behind me, saw the message, and froze. "Oh God," she whispered. "He didn't. He wouldn't." But he had. I filed a report. The cop wrote it down like it was just another form. Didn't seem too concerned. Said it was hard to press charges without proof. Sarah was quiet the whole time. I didn't go inside her place that night. I just drove home with the spray paint still fresh in the air. The next morning, I got a message from Nick. He'd found me on Facebook. The message was short. "She'll ruin you. Just like she ruined me." I showed Sarah. She blocked him again. Said she'd report it. But I could tell she was scared now too. We didn't talk for a few days. Then she messaged me. "I understand if you want to disappear." I thought about it. A part of me wanted to stay. Wanted to be the guy who didn't flinch. But I couldn't stop thinking about the way he looked at her. The message. The damage to my car. How far he might go next time. I texted her back. "I care about you, but I don't think I can do this." She didn't answer. I haven't seen her since. She deleted her dating profile. Went offline for a while. Sometimes I search her name, just to see if she's okay. I haven't found anything. No posts. No updates. It's like she disappeared. And maybe that's for the best. But I still think about her. I'd been out of a long-term relationship for about a year, and I was cautiously trying to date again. Not looking for anything serious, but open to it if the right person came along. I was mostly matching with people close to my age, late 20s, early 30s, because I didn't feel like dealing with the different expectations that often come with big age gaps. That's when I matched with Jess. Her profile said she was 26. She had a short bio, books, coffee, sapphic chaos. Her photos were casual, one at a bookstore, one with a cat curled up on her lap, one mirror selfie wearing a band tee I actually recognized, which is rare. She messaged first, "You look like the type of person who alphabetizes their spice rack." I laughed. She wasn't wrong. Our conversation was easy from the start. She was clever, sarcastic, and just a little weird in a way that felt familiar. We talked about our favorite childhood books, bad tattoos, and how neither of us understood the appeal of brunch, but somehow kept ending up at it anyway. We texted for a week before meeting in person. She lived about 30 minutes away, in a smaller town just outside of the city. Said she worked part-time at a library and was finishing up a degree in graphic design. We met at a cafe halfway between us. She was a little shorter than I expected, with dyed blue hair, chipped nail polish, and a nervous energy that was oddly charming. She didn't make a lot of eye contact, but when she did, it felt intense. We sat outside and talked for 2 hours. She told me about a zine she was working on, and I told her about the worst job I ever had, which involved dressing as a mascot for a local car dealership. She laughed so hard she snorted, then apologized for it. That night, she messaged me, "I like you." I don't usually say that this fast, but I do. I smiled at the screen for longer than I should admit. We saw each other again the next week. Then again the week after that. Things stayed casual, but there was a growing closeness. We were texting constantly, sharing playlists, talking about things that felt heavier, past relationships, family stuff, fears we didn't usually say out loud. One night, we were lying on my couch watching a terrible horror movie, and she suddenly asked, "Would it be weird if I said I wanted to keep seeing you, like seriously?" I turned to her. "No, that wouldn't be weird." She smiled. "Good. I was worried you might think I'm too young or something." That made me pause. "You're 26, I said. "That's not too young." She went quiet for a second. Then she said, "Okay, so there's something I have to tell you." I felt my stomach tighten. "I'm not 26, she said. "I'm 20. I stared at her. She rushed on. "I know that's a lot, and I know I should have told you sooner. But I liked you, and I didn't think you'd even talk to me if I put my real age. I don't usually lie about this, but you seemed safe. You didn't message me anything creepy. You seemed kind." I didn't know what to say, because 20 isn't illegal. It's not like she was 16 or something, but it felt off, like I'd been tricked into something I didn't agree to. I asked her why she lied. She said, "People don't take me seriously when they know my real age. I hate how fast people dismiss you when you're young. Like you can't be smart or mature or interesting unless you've hit 25. I understood that. On some level, I really did. But still, "You lied to me," I said. "That matters." She looked down. "I know. I'm sorry." We sat in silence for a long time after that. Eventually, she left. I didn't say whether I'd see her again. The next day, I got a long message from her, apologizing again, saying she understood if I didn't want to talk anymore, but also saying she didn't regret matching with me, that she felt something real, even if it started from something fake. I didn't reply. I needed space, time to think, to figure out how I felt. A few days passed. Then I started getting messages from new Tinder profiles. Different names, different photos, but the same writing style, the same jokes. One profile said, "Some people ghost because they're cowards." Another, "Still thinking about those playlists." Then another that just said, "You never gave me a chance." I unmatched all of them. I blocked the numbers when they started texting me. But they kept showing up. Each time, slightly different. Slightly more invasive. One night, I got a message from a new number that just said, "I saw you at the bookstore yesterday. Why didn't you say hi?" I had been at the bookstore. I hadn't mentioned it to anyone. I checked the windows, locked the door again, made sure the curtains were closed. The next day, I got a friend request on Instagram from an account named Your Second Chance. No profile picture, no posts. The bio said, "You made a mistake." I didn't respond. I just blocked again. But the thing is, once that line gets crossed, you start questioning everything. Every notification, every anonymous like, every glance over your shoulder in public. I stopped using Tinder, deleted my account entirely. I started posting less. I kept my location off. I changed my phone number. It didn't stop right away. The last message I got was a voice memo from a number I didn't recognize. I didn't open it. I just deleted it, blocked the sender, turned off my phone, and sat there in the dark for a long time. It's been over a year now. I haven't seen her since. Haven't heard anything. I don't know if she finally moved on, or just found someone else to fixate on. I didn't expect to be dating again at 42. After my divorce, I told myself I'd take a year to just focus on me and my daughter, Kayla. She was 14 at the time, old enough to understand that her parents were better off apart, but still young enough that I worried about how everything would affect her. The first year post-divorce was about survival. Paying bills, rebuilding our routines, learning how to be alone without feeling lonely. Then slowly, I started thinking about companionship again. I wasn't looking for anything serious. I just missed conversation. Missed being seen. Kayla was the one who finally nudged me. "Mom," she said one night over spaghetti, "you should go on a date." I raised an eyebrow. "That's a weird thing to hear from your teenager." She shrugged. "You're allowed to be happy." So I downloaded a dating app. I wasn't expecting much, maybe a few awkward coffee dates, a couple of ghostings, and best case, someone who didn't make me want to fake an emergency halfway through dinner. That's when I matched with Greg. He was 45, worked in environmental consulting, and lived about 20 minutes away. His profile had pictures of him hiking, smiling with a golden retriever, and grilling something on a patio. He wrote that he was family-oriented, emotionally available, and ready for the next chapter. It felt safe. That was my first impression. He didn't have that overly polished, too smooth vibe that some men on the app had. He seemed normal, grounded. We messaged for a few days before talking on the phone. He had a deep, reassuring voice. Asked thoughtful questions. Told me he'd been divorced for a few years, no kids. Said he liked that I was honest about having a teenage daughter. "I admire single moms," he said. "It's the hardest job in the world." Our first date was coffee on a Sunday afternoon. He was warm and easy to talk to. No red flags. No weird comments. Just good conversation and a shared slice of lemon cake. We saw each other again the following weekend. Then again 2 days after that. He didn't rush anything. Didn't push for more than I was comfortable giving. He texted good morning. Asked how my meetings went. Sent me a photo of his dog, Ranger, curled up under a blanket. After about a month, I mentioned that my church was holding its annual spring potluck. I wasn't inviting him, not directly. I was just talking about it in passing. But he lit up. "That sounds lovely," he said. "I haven't been to a church dinner in years." I hesitated. "It's mostly families. Not really a dating scene." He smiled. "I'm not going to cruise for dates. I just think it'd be nice to meet the people important to you. Unless you'd rather I didn't come." I didn't know how to say no without sounding rude. And honestly, it didn't seem like a big deal. It was a public event. Plenty of people would be around. So I said sure. He offered to bring a dish, homemade meatballs, he said, from his grandmother's recipe. The night of the potluck, he showed up early. Wore a blue button-down and khakis. Brought a tray of meatballs, a container of extra sauce, and a bouquet of tulips for me. Everyone loved him. He was charming without being showy. Asked people about their kids. Complimented the food. Even helped fold chairs when the event was winding down. At one point, I saw him talking to Kayla and 2 of her friends. They were sitting on the edge of the stage in the fellowship hall, laughing at something he'd said. It made me smile. He didn't seem like the type to treat teenage girls as invisible, which I appreciated. Later, as we were packing up, Kayla was quieter than usual. "You okay?" I asked on the drive home. She nodded. "Yeah, just tired." She didn't bring him up. I didn't push, but something in her tone felt off. I figured maybe she was still adjusting. It was only the second time she'd been around him. 2 nights later, I found her sitting on her bed, scrolling through something on her phone, her face tight. "Hey," I said. "Want to talk?" She hesitated. Then she said, "Greg's weird." My stomach dropped. I sat on the edge of her bed. "What do you mean?" She looked at me, then down at her hands. "During the potluck, he asked me if I had a boyfriend. And when I said no, he said, 'Good. You're too pretty for boys your age. They wouldn't know what to do with you.'" I stared at her. Then she added, "He also asked if I had Instagram." I said no. He said that was a shame, that he'd love to see the kinds of pictures I post. I felt my chest tighten. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" I asked gently. She shrugged. "I don't know. I thought maybe I imagined it, but I kept thinking about it, and it just felt gross." I hugged her, told her she did the right thing by telling me, that she didn't imagine it, that her instincts were good. After she went to bed, I sat in the kitchen, staring at the wall. I didn't want to believe it, but I did, because I remembered the way he'd looked at her, just a beat too long. The way he'd asked about her school, her interests, her schedule, all under the guise of polite adult conversation. I texted him the next morning. "We need to talk." He didn't reply. I called, straight to voicemail. By lunchtime, his number was disconnected. His dating profile was gone. His LinkedIn, Facebook, even the photos he'd sent me, all disappeared. I called the number listed on the environmental consulting firm he claimed to work for. They'd never heard of him. I drove by the address he gave me the first time we met. It was a house, but it was vacant. For sale. A real estate sign in the yard. The man I'd been seeing didn't exist. Or at least, not in the way I thought. I filed a report. Told the church leadership. Told the other parents whose kids had spoken to him. Everyone was horrified. A few people asked if I'd checked him out before bringing him around. I didn't have the energy to defend myself. Because the truth is, I had. I'd Googled him. Searched his number. Looked up the company. Nothing screamed fake. And yet, I don't know what his real name was, or what he wanted, or why he vanished so quickly. But I know this. He was interested in my daughter, not in me, and he used me to get close to her. It's been almost a year since that night. Kayla's doing okay. We've talked about it more than once. She says it feels like a bad dream now, blurry around the edges. But she still doesn't like it when I mention dating. Says she wants me to wait a little longer. I was already at the table, stomach growling, and checking the time for what felt like the 100th time. He was late. Not fashionably late. Not the kind of late that gives you butterflies while you wait, wondering if this person is as charming in real life as they seemed online. No. This was no regard for basic etiquette late. It was supposed to be a casual lunch, nothing fancy, just a simple meet and greet to see if the spark we had online translated into something real. But as the minutes dragged on, that spark was flickering out. When I finally worked up the nerve to text him and ask for his ETA, his response floored me. "I'll be 30 minutes late. Just start eating if you're hungry." No apology. No explanation. Just a casual suggestion to carry on without him. I stared at my phone, trying to decide if I was more annoyed by his lack of effort or by the fact that my hunger was winning this battle. I ordered something small to tide me over and told myself to let it go. First dates are nerve-wracking. Maybe he'd had a rough morning. Maybe he was shy and fumbling. My inner optimist was working overtime to drown out my growing irritation. Finally, more than 30 minutes past his promised arrival, he showed up. At first, I didn't recognize him. The guy who'd been sending me playful texts and witty jokes online was replaced by someone who looked like he'd rolled out of bed and wandered into the wrong restaurant. His hair stuck out in every direction, a literal bird's nest of tangles and neglect. He wore a wrinkled promotional t-shirt from some random event, baggy shorts that screamed laundry day, and a pair of flip-flops that looked like they'd seen better days. No apology. No sheepish grin. Just a chirpy, "Hey," as he plopped into the seat across from me. I blinked at him, momentarily at a loss for words. This wasn't just a casual approach to a casual lunch. This was a complete disregard for the fact that he was on a date. I tried to hide my shock, but I could feel my expression slipping. Did he think this was acceptable? Did he think I'd find this charmingly quirky? As he reached for the menu, my patience snapped. "I'm sorry," I said, forcing a tight smile. "I'm really tired. I think I need to head home." He looked up, confusion flashing across his face, but there was no real concern. No attempt to salvage the date or even to ask if everything was okay. "Oh, okay," he said with a shrug, already turning his attention back to the menu. I stood, grabbed my bag, and walked away, each step feeling lighter as the distance between us grew. The cool air outside was a welcome relief, and as I put more and more space between myself and that disastrous date, the absurdity of the situation began to sink in. How had I even let it get to this point? I'd walked into that restaurant expecting effort, respect, and maybe even a bit of romance. Instead, I'd been met with bedhead and a complete lack of accountability. Once I was far enough away, I pulled out my phone and blocked him. No follow-up messages. No second chances. I wasn't going to waste another second on someone who couldn't even bother to apologize for being late, let alone put in the bare minimum effort to show up looking presentable. As I walked home, I couldn't help but laugh at the irony. I'd thought that someone who wasn't conventionally attractive might try harder, might take the time to impress, knowing they didn't have the luxury of coasting on their looks. But this was a new low. I replayed the scene in my head, from his nonchalant arrival to his oblivious attitude. For a moment, I wondered if I'd overreacted. Was I being too harsh? Too judgmental? But no, this wasn't about appearances. It was about respect, and he hadn't shown any. Not for me, not for the date, not even for himself. When I got home, I kicked off my shoes, sank onto the couch, and let out a deep breath. The frustration I'd felt earlier was already fading, replaced by a strange sense of relief. I'd dodged a bullet. This wasn't a loss, it was a win. I opened my phone, scrolled through my messages, and deleted our entire chat history. As I watched the conversation disappear, I felt a surge of empowerment. One bad date didn't define me, and it certainly didn't mean I had to lower my standards. The lesson was clear: never settle for someone who makes you feel like you're an afterthought. Because if they can't even bother to try on the first date, what hope is there for the future? It's funny now looking back. The absurdity of it all has turned the frustration into something I can laugh about. But at the time, it was a wake-up call, a reminder to value myself and to never let anyone treat me as though I'm not worth the effort. We matched online, exchanged a few messages, and quickly realized we had a great rapport. He was funny, clever, and refreshingly attentive. He said he lived in a town not far from mine, which made meeting up a breeze. After a couple of phone calls that lasted into the early hours of the morning, I found myself genuinely excited. He seemed normal. When he suggested dinner for our first date, I eagerly agreed. The plan was simple: meet at a cozy little restaurant, have a nice meal, and see if the chemistry we'd built online translated to the real world. I should have known it was too good to be true. The first red flag was waiting for me at the restaurant door. He looked different from his photos, not just a little older or a few pounds heavier, but almost unrecognizable. I'm not one to judge too harshly. Online photos can be deceiving. But this wasn't a case of bad lighting or strategic angles. He looked like he'd aged a decade since the pictures were taken. His nervous smile didn't help, and I felt a flicker of unease. Still, I told myself to stay open-minded. After all, I'd come this far. What was the harm in giving him a chance? I wish I'd turned around and left. We hadn't even ordered drinks before the conversation took a hard left turn into Crazy Town. "I like you," he said, leaning forward across the table, his voice low and deliberate. His eyes bore into mine with an intensity that made me instinctively lean back. "We should have a baby." I blinked, certain I'd misheard him. "I'm sorry, what?" "You heard me," he said, completely unfazed by my reaction. "Are you ovulating?" For a second, I thought this had to be a joke, some bizarre attempt at humor gone horribly wrong. But there was no laughter in his expression, no trace of levity. He was deadly serious. I froze, my mind racing. How do you even respond to something like that? I forced a strained laugh, hoping to diffuse the tension. That's not really first date conversation." But he didn't back down. "Why not? It's important to be upfront about these things." I felt my stomach twist as a wave of panic set in. This wasn't just awkward, it was alarming. I needed to leave. Fast. "I think this isn't going to work out," I said, pushing back my chair and reaching for my bag. "Wait, where are you going?" he asked, standing up as I did. His tone wasn't angry, but there was an unsettling edge of desperation in his voice. "I'm leaving," I said firmly, my voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. "This is too much." I turned and started walking toward the exit, but he followed, his footsteps quickening behind me. My pulse spiked as I stepped outside, the cool night air hitting me like a jolt of adrenaline. What are you doing? I snapped, spinning to face him. Why are you following me? His response made my blood run cold. I don't have anywhere to go, he said simply, as if that explained everything. I lied about where I live. My heart sank. What are you talking about? I don't live nearby, he admitted, his tone matter of fact. I drove 4 hours to meet you. I figured I could stay with you tonight. The audacity of his words left me momentarily speechless. He'd not only lied about his location, but had somehow convinced himself that I, someone he'd never met in person until tonight, would let him crash at my place. Absolutely not, I said, my voice rising with anger. You need to leave. Now. He tried to argue, but I wasn't having it. I turned and walked away, my every instinct screaming at me to get as far from him as possible. I didn't look back until I was safely in my car, my hands trembling as I locked the doors. The next morning, I woke to a text from an unknown number. My stomach churned as I opened it, already dreading what I'd find. I miss you already, the message read, complete with a winking emoji. I stared at the screen in disbelief. Miss me? You terrified me. I didn't hesitate. I blocked him immediately, deleting the message, as if erasing it could somehow undo the entire nightmare of a date. I was 19 and stupidly optimistic about love. I'd just finished my first semester of college and was spending the holiday break back home, bored and glued to my phone. That's when I matched with Lily. She was cute, big eyes, dyed pink hair, a nose ring, and this chaotic energy in her messages that I found kind of addicting. She said she was 20, lived one town over, and was into poetry, punk bands, and obscure horror films. We clicked fast. I stayed up late just to talk to her. She made me laugh. She made me feel seen. After a week, I asked if she wanted to meet. She dodged the question, said she was busy, then sick, then dealing with family stuff. I didn't push. I figured, okay, maybe she's shy. Maybe she needs time. But then she disappeared. No warning. No goodbye. Just gone. Her profile vanished, and the number I'd been texting stopped working. I was disappointed, sure, but I told myself it was just an online thing. Nothing real. 2 weeks later, she came back. New number. New profile pic. Same girl. She said she'd missed me. That she'd been scared of how fast things were moving. That she still wanted to see me, if I was open to it. I was. God help me, I was. She asked for my address. Said she wanted to send me something small. A peace offering, she called it. At first I hesitated, but I gave it to her. I was 19 and tired of being alone. I wanted to believe in something. The package arrived 2 days later. Small box. No return label. Inside was a kitchen knife. Not new. Not clean. The blade was stained dark and the handle was chipped. Wrapped around it was a note, handwritten in slanted, messy letters. He said you were his. Now he knows better. Lily's husband. My whole body locked up. I reread the note 3 times. I checked the box again, nothing else inside. I looked through the peephole, checked the windows. Nothing. Just the ordinary quiet of a winter afternoon. I called the police. They took the knife, the note, and my statement. Said it could be a prank. Said they'd look into it. But without a return address or a confirmed identity, there wasn't much to go on. I deleted everything, texts, the app, my social media for a while. I changed my number. I didn't sleep well for weeks. I never heard from her again. Whoever she was, whatever game she'd been playing, she vanished for good. But I still think about it. About how close I felt to someone who never existed. About how quickly affection can twist into threat. And about how easily I gave my address to someone I'd never seen in person. I don't do online dating anymore. Not because I'm bitter. Because I'm careful.